a really good point. So, there's this quote or saying or whatever that says a lion doesn't have to tell others that he's a lion. He's that confident he doesn't have to, so a leader doesn't have to tell other people he's a leader like that, right? So I love what you just said there with, you do get a lot of people who go, yeah, I used to be balanced and now I'm positive only.
And brag about it.
But the thing is, the other people who do actually go from positive to balance, they're so confident in what they've learned, right, that they don't actually have to tell anyone.
Yeah.
And their work, their results become, it's proven in science. So I find it fascinating, how it just comes to these things where...
I wonder if it's an emotion thing as well, though.
It's definitely an emotion thing.
There's they can brag about it because, again, they can play on
they feel good.
People's feelings towards dogs. And be like, well, look, I did positive, and look at how much better the dog is.
Yeah. And in most cases, it's true. And that's why I'm like, and this is where I'm not saying they're wrong, because if you have a bacterial infection, right, you need antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a viral infection, antibiotics ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're limiting the industry to help so many different dogs because you would die on your hill and expect the dogs to die in your place.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's okay. And shaming, and I like Brene Brown's work on shaming and guilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where she's like, guilt is about the, using verbs where you're like, what you did isn't right. Where shaming is more, I think they call it is it a noun or something? Where you say, so instead of saying you're a thief, I go, it's like, hey, stealing isn't right. So the language you use, and she talks about how when we shame, because you're attacking the person as the person who they can't always change.
Yeah.
But if you talk about the behavior and they can make better decisions, And I heard this story once where one of the ladies explained, this is how punishment creates more fear or something, and she was talking about her mum. And, they were on a road trip and they went onto this very long, road, boring, and her mum was speeding and then she got caught.
Yeah.
Right? And then she's like, every time we drive down there, my mum gets anxious. So she's like, yeah, see, punishment doesn't work. And I'm like, no. Your mum knows she shouldn't speed.
Yeah.
And she chooses to speed and she gets caught. She doesn't know when she's going to get caught. Right? So that's the fear of unpredictability, which is anxiousness. That's why she's anxious. It's not actually the fact that she's being punished. It's the fact that she wants to do what she wants to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you're inconsistent with discipline, then you can actually create anxiety. But anxiousness is also part of life.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of animals learn. So is it constant anxiousness with nothing ever changing?
Yeah,
and we
that
talk
has to
about
make sense and help them.
Yeah, and we talk about abuse, right? And I say to people, look, abusiveness is actually the one who gets abused. It's actually not about them. It's not about changing their behavior. It's not about them making better decisions. It's about the person who is abusive. And I actually heard this 2 or 3 weeks ago with a lady on a comment that said, people who punish dogs do it because it reinforces the person. So it makes the person feel strong, or, it makes them feel good. And I went through this horrible period of actually having to discipline a dog. I did not find it pleasurable at all.
Yeah, no.
And my fiance would look at me and he was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And I just said to him, this is like, I'm a nurse and I'm scraping out all this nastiness on your injury and you're screaming, going like, ah! And I'm just like, going through withdrawal almost, like, it's painful. And I'm like, you have to do that.
Well, that's never, I even feel bad, when Larry doesn't get something, and I know it's, me needing to help him understand more and stuff. And even that is hard, and it's you don't get, I don't know what crazy people get reward out of, punishing.
I just think that, no, if I found pleasure in...
Then you wouldn't be doing this,
I wouldn't be doing it. Because I would be so happy that your dog got attacked.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? If it was if I found pleasure in pain, then I would be different.
Dogs,
So it just saddens me, and that's a really good point where you're just saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when you're the squeaky wheel, there's something wrong. That's why you get the oil. But the other four wheels, they just keep on doing their thing. What's the problem? I don't get it.